Hello there. Welcome to this very special edition of the Fatboy Show. Oh, yeah. On this program, we like to have interesting conversations with very interesting people. And in thinking about which interesting person I should invite to the show, I decided to bring on the program someone that I've had some interactions with on social media. And you know what social media is like. You see an account, like you post a comment or you put up a post, and then someone will reply to you, either in agreement or disagreement. And the person that I'm going to be introducing in a moment is someone who often expresses disagreement with me on political issues. He is a very, very big supporter of the National Unity Platform Party and is a big fan of Bobby Wine. Now, in my case, I don't consider myself to be partisan. I would say I'm fairly ambivalent in terms of our local politics. I wouldn't say I'm pro NRM. I'm not pro NUP. I'm what you may call neutral, the worst kind of Ugandan, the useless elites, as Dr. Kiza Besige once called us. Apparently, we use too many brain cells and we don't want to be invested in the fight and the struggle like these other people who seem to be willing to put everything on the line. We'll see if our guest today agrees with that perception of people like myself. Well, without much further ado, let's say hi to Dr. Morgans, who joins us on the Fatboy Show today. Hi, Dr. Morgans. How are you doing?
Hey, James, thank you for having me today. Thank you for for inviting me to have this discussion. One, I used to say you're one of the neutral Ugandans. And I don't know if there is anything like neutral Ugandans because neutrality only helps the dictator. You're just abating and aiding Museveni and his crew.
I knew it. I knew that's what you were going to say. I knew you were going to say that. So, all right. So explain that for us in detail. So you do feel that people like us who do not declare a clear stance on these issues in terms of either supporting or denouncing a party, you think people like us are aiding and abetting what you consider to be a dictatorship?
Exactly. Why do I think so? Look, politics determines everything, Fatboy. And if you wake up in the morning and for you, you think you're not going to have a side or a say in politics, you're just going to look at it, have comments about it, then you're in simple terms, aiding those that have power. Politics decides how much the sugar costs. It decides the kind of woman I am going to marry. It decides the kinds of roads I'm going to use. It decides whether the hospitals have drugs or they don't have drugs. And at the end of the day, you also use these public goods. So if you don't care about politics, you don't care about whether you're having an opportunity to influence it, then you're only aiding that one who is already in power. And the one we have in power right now is Dictator Museveni, who is misruling our country. He has done this for the last 39 years. So
Mm.
you're helping him. You're helping him sail through it smoothly without any force, any fact checking him in whether what he says is exactly what he does or not.
Tell me what you think about this. So you do agree that democracy implies that there will be people with different perspectives and different opinions. Do you agree with that? And will you go further and agree also that that therefore means that we all have different perspectives about the political situation? We have different perspectives about the regime. For example, I don't know if you talk to many or any NRM supporters. I think their understanding of the state of the country will be different from yours. Would you agree?
For the very many people that I've talked about and asked them as to why they support NRM, they say it takes a cost to support the National Unity Platform. You're putting your life at a risk. You're going against the state that has every machinery with it. They have the money and they see it as a cost. So the people you see supporting NRM, they're doing it not because they actually believe in the ideology of the NRM or they actually believe in what the NRM does, but they find it easier to support NRM than, support NUP. But like the tears,
No, no. Mhm.
The tears and sweat all are liquid in nature, but the difference is the outcome. They go
I
for the
think
tears.
I don't disagree with you that among the NRM camp, surely, and few will disagree that it's full of opportunists. There's a lot of people that are there more for opportunistic reasons. Either they will gain directly or indirectly in material terms. This we know. But also, as you say, if they might have doubts about NRM, they may be afraid to express it. And worse yet, to even join an opposing factions, they might fear that it might invite some calamity in their lives. Now, what about you? You are an outspoken NUP supporter. You are an outspoken critic of this regime. You wish to see it gone. Here you are appearing on this podcast. We're having a conversation and we can see who you are. What about you? You're not scared about taking your stance. You don't worry, as the others, that you might be a target for retribution for holding your beliefs.
Fatboy, what haven't we seen? What hasn't the regime done to us? If there is anything to fear, it's the fear itself. In 2020, during the 7 November massacre, I had to lose my life. Literally, the guy that saved me left his hand behind. That is, he was shot on the arm. I've seen my friends die in the struggle, Fatboy. I've seen my friends get abducted. I've been arrested several times when I was back home. And I've seen everything happen. And now the only fear I have is fear. There is nothing we are afraid of, because what we really understand is there is nothing that is going to come on a silver platter for us. If we really need to build a Uganda that works for everyone, and indeed everyone, whether we agree or we don't agree, it's going to take certain people to pay the price. It's going to take certain people to take a stand. Like a stand that is not safe, that doesn't sound normal for people, but because your mentality tells you it is the right stand. And because it is the right stand for people like me and people like Fatboy to take, I would say I am disappointed that Fatboy says he's neutral. Neutral on what, Fatboy? Look, neutral on corruption.
Well, we shall get to me, but I first want to understand your perspective and where you're coming from. So when you say you survived the November 2020 riots, do you mean to say you were there or on the streets on that day protesting against the arrest of several NUP members during the last election cycle?
I ask, we don't call them riots, we call them protests, because we were exercising our constitutional right. We have a right to protest. And, the regime had made it a playbook to always arrest our leader, detain him for no good reason. And this time around, Ugandans were like, no, if Dictator Museveni is going around campaigning, the Honorable Kyagulanyi should also go and also campaign. So we came out massively, peacefully, this I must say. One of the last words President Bobi Wine did tell us as he was being put into a mobile prison, he said, don't be violent. Let them be violent, but don't be violent. And trust me, in whatever we did, in marching on the roads, in chanting, we're doing it peacefully, calling upon the regime to release our leader, until the regime went on rampage. It went on rampage, shooting people.
Now, I have a
actually getting gangsters and mixing them in the peaceful protesters to burn tires. It was not supporters of the NUP that did burn tires during the November 2020 protests. It is the regime agents. The regime got guns, put them on the road, burnt tires, started beating up people. Regime agents. We were peaceful. In retaliation, what did the regime do? It went on rampage. Report says they killed about 52 people. But in real sense, we don't know how many people died even after the incident. How many died in the hospitals? How many died because of their injuries? That means over 100 people were killed for peacefully coming out to say no. Let the Honorable Kyagulanyi campaign as Dictator Museveni is doing.
Mm-hmm. And so you were there during those protests, and you said you almost lost your life. Can you tell us what happened? How did you almost lose your life? And you said someone protected you and lost their hand in the process? Tell us about that.
Also in November, I was in Mbuya. The ends of Mbuya that have this side we have CMI, we have a barracks this side, we have Chirika this side. So when the Honorable Chagulanyi got arrested in Luka, news spread around about his arrest, and we were like, no, me and my friends who believe in a Uganda that works for everyone, in a Uganda where you don't need to be in my party to campaign peacefully. We said, no, we need to do something. The Constitution gives us a right to protest against anything we don't actually do believe in. We mobilize ourselves. No leader from the National Unity Platform made a call to us to go out and protest. It was Ugandans that actually did believe in this. We mobilized ourselves, mobilized people from the villages. We said we are doing this peacefully. Go onto the streets, chant one thing, free Bobby Wine, free our president. We did this, and a couple of minutes, we started seeing the police coming around, beating people. It started like beating. We started seeing faces of people we didn't know. These people started throwing stones. And when the throwing on the stones, I think they wanted to get a reason for validating the inhuman torture that was going to be done to us after. So what happens after? I have a team of about 20 people I am with. We had a slope we were on around a church. And I was telling these people, now when you see the police come, we need to go back. We need to run back so that they don't get any of us. And this we did a couple of times. And trust me, during the November 2020, we overwhelmed the regime forces because they didn't have enough manpower to be deployed in each and every area. So what happens is the regime goes on rampage. Simply because they saw they couldn't put us on stop, they started shooting to us. So this one point that I had told all my guys to go behind. I was the only one remaining. I was holding my phone. And I was like, if this guy is to shoot at me, a truck came. It was a military truck. And in my mind, I knew, this guy is a fellow Ugandan. If this guy is to actually shoot at me, he's going to shoot me a rubber bullet. He's not going to, kill me. So I was like, I can take the pain from the rubber bullet. Damn. What actually was, it was real bullets being shot at peaceful protesters. So this guy shoots at me, and the only thing that saves me, as I was standing, a guy came running in front of me, and the guy left his arm behind. So he got shot here, exactly near me. So he falls down, and I pick him. And that is the only way I got saved. Because if this guy didn't pass in front of me, I would be dead by now.
Wait a minute. Now, so the bullet hit him, and it was a live bullet. You said it hit him on the shoulder, and then what?
That guy is there in Mbuya. It shattered his arm. His arm was shattered down. So what do you do to pay back such a person that has paid a price for you? Stick on truth.
How is he doing though?
Currently he's having metals in his arm, but part of it was literally shattered. And we're keeping in touch to see that the only thing we can pay such people is continuing, keeping on the right track that they actually do believe in. This is a young man.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, that November incident was very, very terrible. A lot of people lost their lives. And by the way, some people weren't even involved in the protest. Do you remember there were ladies who, I think they were vendors in the city, around the city center, and they were also killed by stray bullets? That was very sad.
And Fatboy, this is what I've been telling you. There is nothing like neutrality in politics. Now look at a lady like that one who was selling, hawking her food, and she got killed because of politics. So politics knows no neutrality. When it comes for you, it comes.
So you may be neutral towards it, but it is certainly not neutral towards you. That's what you're saying.
Basically. Politics will up for you,
whether you like it or not.
So it's better you take a stand and be like, I'm for what is right. So whether it's on the right, you've paid a price for something you've been advocating for.
Well, I want to get your opinion on a very interesting question I have for you. So basically, when you talk about the November protests of 2020, and we've sort of seen similar things happening under different circumstances in our neighboring countries. In Kenya, we saw the protests over the taxes, and then people died. And then recently in Tanzania, we've also seen protests around the time of the elections, and also people have died. And obviously, this makes people wonder about whether or not they're living in a very brutal regime. A lot of people will be quick to accuse or blame the regime that was involved in the killing of some of these people. Tell me what you think about this perspective, because I've had some people say this. So when you say, as you were protesting peacefully, and then out of nowhere, some people came and started causing a ruckus, and so it was in response to those people that the state felt justified in using lethal force, because you're saying for you, you were peaceful, and out of nowhere, some violent guys came. And in your opinion, you think these were agents that were sent, what are they called? Agent saboteurs. Essentially, you've heard of that term. So basically, sometimes they will send in troublemakers to stoke trouble in order to provide a justification for a heavy clampdown. This is a fairly common accusation that protest groups will make whenever they're met with violent reprisal, okay? But at the same time, isn't it also true, because I also don't believe in that theory 100%, there are, in our society, there are people who have bad motives, who are poorly behaved, who would wish to take advantage of a situation like a protest in order to sow chaos, or maybe to loot and to vandalize. They just have it in them to want to do that. Basic criminal elements. Would it be fair to say that it's possible that among those that were escalating the violence with the security could have been criminal elements? Perhaps they had nothing to do with you, but is it possible that criminal elements were taking advantage of that situation to further their own agenda and to loot and to things of that sort? Do you think that's possible, that these were criminal elements rather than agents?
I want to look at every every situation in a unique manner. For especially the November 2020 situation, I have lived in Mbuya for the last, I think, 20 years. I was born there. I literally know most of the faces of the youths in the area. I know most of the faces of the youths in the area because Mbuya is a ghetto. And for us in the ghetto, there is a way whereby you happen to know each and everyone in the area. You might not know their name, but so-and-so lives in the area, so-and-so lives there, because it's easier for us to say, so-and-so has been missing for 3 days. Where is this person? The faces we saw causing chaos in 2020 were not common areas, or rather common faces in the area. So it literally means these are gangs that we picked from somewhere, on a mission to justify the force that the regime was going to use against us. Let's not go far.
Okay, so you are of the opinion that yes, there were violent elements, but you feel they had nothing to do with you, that these were imported from somewhere. Either they were their own personal agents or they were acting at somebody else's behests. Is this your opinion?
Exactly. These were people that the regime had planted in us. It is even happening in the campaigns of the president, Bobby Wine. We are one of the most disciplined forces. As the NUP, we have core values that we believe in, and number one is discipline. And every time we set out to go to campaign, the president does urge us to be disciplined in each and everything we do. But the regime formed what they call a ghetto structure through General Damio leader. And this ghetto structure, what they do is that they go to the ghettos, find people that have criminal records. Some of them are picked from different prisons, and they are on a mission to just come act as if they are one of us, but yet do things that actually misrepresent us as the National Unity Platform. Go out there, beat people, go out there, snatch phones. These are people from the ghetto structure that are set up by General Dam leader. This I say because it is the reality. Museveni has used the last 2 years through General Dam leader to go into the ghettos, find these youths that don't even have anything to eat. They don't have a job. They are not educated. They are unemployed and unemployable. So if you find such a young Ugandan and tell them, you know what, I'm going to give you 20,000 a day. What you need to go is out there, do this for me. And it's easier because some of these are gullible. They have criminal records, and they tell them, if you don't do this for us, you have this case, we're going to pull it out and you're going to go back to prison. And it's easier to assimilate them into their whatever games they play. So for me to say that the regime does plant indisciplined people, I come from a point of validation because I've seen it happen, and I'm seeing it happen.
Do you think it would be possible to to document these instances and maybe obtain testimonies and evidence and furnish this? Because I feel like right now it remains in the realm of speculation. I'm not saying you have no basis for saying that. I feel you have good reason to suspect that, but don't you think you could make a stronger case if it were documented and presented in a way that was irrefutable? If we had a guy on the television at a press conference saying, hey, I was approached by, such and such individual, and maybe if we could establish that he's linked to either an institution, organization, or something of that sort. If you're able to present a case like that, don't you think that would go far in terms of, making people truly understand the scope of the problem, so that next time there is a scuffle, people may not be as quick to believe that there was some culpability on your part? Because right now, I'm hearing what you're saying, but some people are going to wonder if that's conjecture or if that's fact. So how do you bridge the gap from conjecture to fact? I'm suggesting to you to document that information and present it in a way that's accessible to the public. Do you feel that's unfair to ask of you?
No, it's not unfair, but look, you've heard about a guy that was called Zebra Mado. This guy was a boxer. He is one of the...
Was he the person who was shot and killed?
Zebra Mado, during the 2021 elections, the regime wanted to use him and the different boxers to attack us so that they tint an image of the ghetto don't support the National Unity Platform. And when Zebra Mando did refuse, what ended of him? He was killed. Dictator Museveni came out and said his people killed Mado on news.
He did acknowledge that he was killed at the hands of operatives, but he also extended his condolences and apologies. In fact, to quote him, he said, "I'm very, very sorry." Was that convincing for you that perhaps that was not the intention?
Have to have any convincing reason for you to kill anybody. If anyone has a crime, arrest that them. There is a difference between arresting and abducting. Arrest them, present them, take them through the different legal processes, not executing them. Now, when Zebra Mando did refuse to do what the regime wanted him to do, he was executed. He was killed. The regime wanted to use the ghetto youths that he has around him to destabilize our campaigns in Kampala, which he refused. And he did, inform our president. As the National Unity Platform, we are one of the most blessed party because each and everything the regime plans to do, we at least have a person in the system that comes out and notifies the leadership. We would be having... several of us would be in prison, but because there is a way information does reach us. And when Zebra, going back to your point, when Zebra did refuse to be used and disabused by the regime, he was executed and killed. And this actually brings about fear to the different youths that are already being used. They if the regime has actually used me to do this, and I come out and say, now the regime has been using me to do this, might end. So this is the fear that they done with these youths.
So then, what do you think the best way is to proceed? Because obviously, under such an umbrella of fear and intimidation, it's really difficult to even say you could have free and fair elections. If people are scared to, step the wrong way. So how do you circumnavigate that? How do you inspire your supporters to be bold enough to come forward and to show support? Because we've been seeing the videos of your events, especially the processions following your flag bearer, presidential candidates. I mean, the crowds are massive. So do you think in some way you've successfully inspired people to rise above those sorts of fears?
Exactly. We have risen above these fears that the regime is actually planting into us, instilling into the population. And that is why it is on rampage. They are pressing different buttons. This day they bring this, the other day they bring this. They are looking for something they think that will hold the people back. Now, what have we held on to as the National Unity Platform? We have held on to doing what is right. When what you're doing is right, one, God will be on your side. And the people, definitely, when God is on your side, you will have the people on your side. So we are doing what is right. The people that they are saying that, are maybe violent, are causing chaos, are us that are coming for the campaigns. And we're not causing the chaos. So who are those that are causing the chaos? So there is no way you're going to tell me that you guys that go for Bobby's campaigns are causing chaos. And we know very well we are the very people, like if he's in Mukono, it is people from Mukono that go there. So there is no way you're going to stop those people because they are not from Kampala, maybe apart from the guns that you people bring in. So what we hold on to is doing what is right. And what is right is among the core values that we do believe in as the National Unity Platform.
Is it true that up to over 300 NUP supporters and officials have been detained since the campaigns began last month?
Yeah, I've been looking at a list. I may not get the details well, but
this was reported by Reuters.
Yeah. Since not Reuters. I don't have the figures offhand, but about 300 plus since the nomination. On the nomination day, about 32 supporters of the National Unity Platforms were arrested. Go to the different regions we have been to. Different people have been picked up. You know what happened in Mbarara, you know what happened in Arua, you know what happened recently in Kawempe. The police just brings a very big rolly, picks whoever they feel like, this one should be picked, brought them into. And if I say that these are people that, Chagulanyi or His Excellency Bobby Wine does move with, now, if we have the capability and the capacity of transporting 300 people from region to region, then the Museveni region should be very, very worried than they are.
So how would you respond to the Uganda police who are accusing NUP supporters of attacking officers, damaging vehicles, and provoking disorder? This is something they came out with in a statement. How would you respond to that?
Let them stop being rhetoric. Let them bring evidence. To every region we go to, the police has a personnel who holds a camera for them. Let them bring evidence. When Lesotho was coming out to stop processions initially, they came out, showed us a video of how a roundabout, how vehicles cause commotion in the roundabout. Let them come out and show us evidence that the difference.
This is what they said. Let me just show you what they said. So in a statement that they published on their, and you can find this on their website, published on the 7th of November, it says that the campaign trail for the presidential candidates has largely remained peaceful. However, as previously communicated, a few individuals have persistently provoked police and engaged in acts of violence against officers. These actions include damaging police vehicles, assaulting personnel, causing public disorder, and inconsiderate use of public roads. The Uganda Police Force has made clear that such conduct is unacceptable and will have consequences. And, they go on to list some examples in Busia, Mayuge, Chankwanzi, and so forth. These are claims that they are alleging. And according to you, you don't feel like they have evidence to support these claims, huh?
No, they don't have evidence. That is why none of them has been aligned in court and no evidence has been, been brought forth to bring cases to end. When you look at the different members of the National Unity Platform that have been arrested, none of the cases did commence hearing. None of the cases did commence hearing. That means there is absence of evidence. The state will always say we are still making investigations. But if you're actually talking about something that did happen during the campaign, evidence, these people may be damaging you because you must have evidence. Don't be rhetoric. You don't be rhetoric. No, what happened in 2021 was the regime had COVID, and this justified the attack of the forces of the security guns against it. Now they don't have anything. They just need to find a point. They just need to themselves cause chaos within the area to justify the force, like I said. So to respond to the Uganda police, if you say the NUP has supporters that actually do cause chaos, do attack you, it is easier if you arrest them, arraign them in court, and bring evidence. Secondly, the National Unity Platform is a registered political party. You can officially write to the party secretary general, tell him we need the different people to appear for statement recording or to appear in court. That is how very law abiding we are, and you will receive them. So other than you going around abducting people, arresting people in a nonsensical manner.
Critics do sometimes argue that while it is true that NUP does have strong grassroots support, I mean, we've seen this demonstrated many, many times. People wonder whether the party has the technical competence to effectively govern institutions, assuming they come to power. In recent months, we've heard of controversies within the party, disagreements over vetting and so forth. There's questions about whether or not the party has among them people who could man the various institutions, government departments. It's one thing to come out with slogans and draw crowds. It's another thing to be able to run and operate a system. What would you say to people who are concerned that you guys don't have the manpower to run institutions?
I would actually first laugh at them. I would also want to remind them that a new Uganda is not about the National Unity Platform only. No. We have very many knowledgeable Ugandans that are out there in different sectors that have been denied opportunities in these institutions. So when you take power, it's not going to be about a person who supports the National Unity Platform heading an institution. No. It's going to be about you being capable. You're going to get a position in an institution on merit, not because you supported the National Unity Platform. No, I don't actually support the National Unity Platform so that when we take power, I might be granted a certain office. No. The reason as to why we are fighting is we are fighting so that when we take power, we have people in institutions, in different government institutions, because they actually do deserve it, not because they were among those that were in the struggle or because they know somebody who knows Bobby Wine. Now, going back to the issue of vetting, look, the very people that you'll find saying that the vetting had a problem or had issues are some of them are the very people that went through the vetting of 2021, and the vetting did grant them an opportunity to stand as our flag bearers. So you can't tell me that when a process does work for you, it is good. And when the process seizes you out, it becomes very bad. No. So as the NUP, and we have been justified by time, the different people that were denied flagship roles have come out to expose themselves. Some of them have started saying words you never expected them to say. Some of them went to parties. You can't tell me you're a member of the National Unity Platform and simply because they didn't give you an opportunity to represent them in parliament, in 2 weeks you already have another political party. No.
What do you make of those defections? Because there have been a number of them. People look at that and say, wait, are these serious people? I mean, it would seem as though they are just as opportunistic as members of the regime or the ruling party that they oppose. Out of principle, surely, regardless of any internal disagreements, one should not be quick to defect. What do you think causes the defections?
That is the very reason as to why our vetting team didn't find them good enough to represent us in parliament.
Okay.
It actually does justify the reason as to why they were not even given an opportunity to be flag bearers of the nation.
It must it must be very challenging, wondering whether or not any of these people purporting to run under your banner, if they may not already be compromised, because you are kind of operating from a disadvantage, right? Because you are the opposition party, meaning there's potentially all kinds of schemes underway to undermine your ability to succeed. And some of those schemes could involve your political rivals, especially the bigger ones. So how do you, I'm wondering how easy it is then to sort of operate the party sitting in a meeting, not knowing who's a mole, who's a rat, who's a spy, who's a, who's feeding information to the other side, or who's planning to disorganize you and then defect. As someone that supports NUP, how do you feel about that?
I think one thing the National Unity Platform has decided to do is to do everything in the open. So we have no secrets. like we always tell people that arrest our colleagues and ask them, what is plan B? Like, we don't even have plan B. We only have one plan, which is remove Museveni. We might have the overt and covert plans, which I'll get through that, but we don't have any. So we decide to do each and everything in the open. We do it in the open. So it gives us a leeway, easier for people, one, to trust us, but secondly, it gives us an opportunity to sift through, because it is not what you say. It is not about saying, I'm a supporter of the National Unity Platform, but the National Unity Platform has core values. Are you in alignment with the core values of the National Unity Platform? That seals you out, because even you might find a way of being in the National Unity Platform, but you're corrupt in nature. That means our policy on corruption, which is zero tolerance, will sieve you out and throw you out. So we have found ourselves at a place whereby the ideologies that we believe in, the core values that we believe in as the party, do a very great role in sieving out who is for us and who is against us.
So in some very simple lay terms, could you lay out for us what you understand the agenda of the NUP party to be? Because a lot of the details get lost in the noise, right? So a casual onlooker of our election cycle is just going to see a regime and then another group that wants to remove the regime. The sentiment seems to basically just be remove Museveni, dictatorship, all this kind of stuff, corruption, oppression. But outside of that sort of dynamic, I don't feel like people are really getting to understand the actual platform of the NUP, the legislative agenda that they have for those who want to go into parliament. How is it that, how should we understand what the agenda of the party is at the executive level and at the legislative level? If you get President Chagulani and if you win more seats in parliament, what is it that we should expect from NUP?
One, for starters, I want to disagree with you that you say that people don't seem to actually understand what the National Unity Platform does stand for or what it does represent, that the people think we keep talking about Museveni this, Museveni. It is not true.
I think so. Because, the NRM slogan is, protect the gains, which essentially is a call to preserve the status quo, right? That's how, because when you're coming up with a political strategy, it has to be easily digestible. Trump will say, make America great again, and everyone understands. Protect the gains, fairly easy to understand. But when it comes to, the NUP platform, to most people, it just comes across as remove Museveni. Now, I'm not saying that's not a worthy goal if that's what you believe. I'm just saying a lot seems, the details seem to get lost in that sort of sloganeering, to where we are not really having substantive conversations about actual legislative agendas for NUP, actual policies and proposals. And I know NUP has them. I know you have them. I've looked through your manifesto. I'm just saying, I was hoping that you'd be able to summarize it for us here in layman's terms, for us to easily understand.
For starters, I don't actually hold any position in the National Unity Platform. I am a common Ugandan who supports the National Unity Platform. So
You're just a supporter. You're not an official of NUP.
yes, it means if I'm in position to actually do as understand what the National Unity Platform does stand for, several many of me are out there that really understand these things the way I do understand them.
So how do you understand it? You as a supporter, what do you understand NUP's agenda to be?
For starters, I want to address that the reason as to why people say we talk about Museveni, Museveni, Museveni. When the only way you can cure a disease is if you have a right diagnosis. If you don't diagnose the disease, there is no way you're going to cure it right. So we need to first diagnose the disease. The disease that is affecting our country is Museveni. Nothing less, nothing more. That is why we keep reminding the people what the problem is. In Uganda, there is a saying that says, "Ekyennyanja nga kinaafa kisooka mutwe." When the fish is to get spoiled, it doesn't start from down. It begins with the head. So that we keep reminding the people that once we overthrow the Museveni regime, all his system will be gone. The corruption will end. And
don't you think that's a bit simplistic? I feel like you're falling into the same trap as Democrats in the United States. So Democrats have been accused of presenting no agenda to their constituents outside of Trump is bad, Trump is bad, Trump is evil, Trump is a fascist, Trump is a dictator. Now, putting aside whether or not that's true, if that's all you're leading with, and at the end of the day, someone is asking himself, okay, how much are groceries? What are my taxes? Are we involved in foreign wars? Are we being attacked by terrorists? What's the security? Like, these are like everyday concerns that inform people's decisions to support one candidate or other. It's really not enough to just say the other side is bad, the other side is bad, the other side is bad, as Democrats are doing for Trump, which is why they've not been performing very well over the last few years. So I would challenge you to consider shifting the focus away from Museveni is bad, because those who would believe that already believe that. And for those who wish to be convinced of your argument, they need to hear a more positive case for why an NUP candidate should be selected rather than just Museveni bad. A lot of people are comfortable with the notion of better the devil you know. So if all you're telling me is this guy is bad, this guy is bad, but you're not telling me how you are good or how you are better, you risk not selling me on your agenda. You don't see it that way?
For starters, I don't want to agree with you. We don't. I was driving my point home, and you did land me off. We don't just go. And we don't just go around talking about Museveni is bad, Museveni is bad. We don't even just talk about it. The guy is bad. The guy is bad. He's dictatorial in nature. He has killed our people. He has played around with the economy of the country. He has done all uncertainties on our country. He's bad.
I'm saying that's a tired song. Like everyone has heard that song.
Wait, let me bring my point home. I want to make sure you get me right. We don't just talk about it. It is the reality. Talk about Museveni being bad. The guy is bad. Now, talking about what we have for Uganda, we have what we call a new Uganda. And as we go into the 2026 elections, our slogan, your motto is a new Uganda now. Uganda impya kati. And how does a new Uganda look? We dream to have a country that is driven by rule of law. We dream to return constitutionalism in our country. We dream to return human rights respect. We are living in a country whereby we are even asking for the bare minimum to be treated like human beings. Like, be accorded that respect of you are human beings. In our country right now, there is a way we are being treated as if we are foreigners. And this way of saying must end. We dream of a country whereby youths are not unemployed. When you look at what is happening in the country, the youths are unemployed and unemployable, and the government is not doing anything about this. It is being rhetoric. We have different sectors, and if these sectors are concentrated on, they could bring about so many employment opportunities. Talk about tourism, talk about sports, talk about agriculture. We're not talking about the agriculture of the parish development model that is used as a scheme by regime enablers to outsource money from Museveni. That is why Museveni has had different programs go like NADS. Now we have PDM, was it called wealth creation, and they have not been impactful. No, we believe in a country whereby we don't have job seekers, we have job creators, because it is nonsensical for you to wake up in the morning, give me money to go into farming, but the roads are in a bad state. But we don't have a market where I'm going to sell the goods. So we dream to bring about a country that concentrates on priorities. The largest part of our budget as a country goes to security. We have not had any attack on the country from external forces, apart from forces in the country attacking Ugandans. We need to reprioritize our budget priorities as a country.
You don't think they would argue that it is because of that expenditure that you've not had terror attacks or invasions into the country? They would probably present that as proof or justification to continue.
To justify about that, there is no country willing to attack Uganda. We are one of the most peaceful countries, but there are diseases that are killing people. Malaria is killing people on a daily, and we're not looking into this. The government is not caring about this. To go to another point of a new Uganda that we do believe in a country where the press have their freedom. That people that go into school to study journalism are going to feel safe out there talking about the government, not the government coming out and saying, Kati, Moy, you're not allowed to cover this candidate, you're not allowed to cover parliament, you're not allowed to cover this. We dream to bring back a Uganda that works for everyone, regardless of their tribe. We long to see government institutions appearing like a national cake being shared. You don't need to wake up in the morning, go to URA and find people that look like each other. You find a person, you pass another one, and you're like, is this the person I found at the first instance? So we dream to bring about a country that works for everyone. We want to have the Baganda, the Banyankole, the Basoga, the Balugwa, the Itesos, all enjoying the government, the national cake. We dream to bring about a Uganda whereby even if you're poor, your poverty ends in your house. When you move out, you're going to go on good roads. The schools will be in a better state. And at the end of the day, when you fall sick, you go to better hospitals, not hospitals that have Panadol. So it is a very, very wide dream that we have. And look, it's not going to take the National Unity Platform to deliver this. It's going to take Ugandans like you, Fatboy, like me, that hold no position in the political world to come out and say, we need to do what is right. We need to build Ugandan together. We need to end reals. And trust me, Fatboy, the Museveni regime is going to be the last regime of poverty. It's going to be the last regime of sectarianism. It's going to be the last regime of human rights abuses. We are going to build a Uganda whereby Ugandans abroad are going to be attracted to invest in their own country. We are going to build a country that even tourists feel safer to come to, not because they will be killed by an accident. So we dream to build a Uganda. This Uganda, it's not about the National Unity Platform. We might have a plan, but we need to bring on board different Ugandans, those that believe in us and those that don't actually believe in us. We ask them, Fatboy, what Uganda do you want to leave behind for your children? Which kind of Uganda would you want to live in 40 years after you've retired? So it's going to take us as the National Unity Platform first, disbanding Museveni and his cronies. But after, now, initially our song, All the People Power Anthem was truly Vimba mu Uganda Empia. But we went to a reconsideration and came to a point of saying truly Zimba Uganda Empia because tulina Uganda gy'ogenda kuvimbiramu nga togizimbye. So we now believe in kuzimba Uganda Empia. We believe in bringing the Fatboys on board. We believe in bringing Ugandans that have, left the country, different countries back home. We have very many knowledgeable Ugandans in different countries.
I admire that. I do admire that sentiment. I just would like to encourage you to encourage your colleagues to put it in practice. So people like myself and other so-called neutrals often suffer the rage and ire of mostly NUP supporters. Previously, it would have been FDC, but now it is the NUP supporters. I feel like people kind of just, because that's where the energy was back before NUP became a thing. Now, a lot of that energy has transferred to NUP, and that is what we engage with. And on social media, if we are to offer or express an opinion that isn't 100% in line with NUP, or even sometimes critical, we are met with fairly vicious resistance and pushback. And I'm not joking about this. It can be very intense. We get called all kinds of names. You've seen it. We get called regime apologists, regime payroll, even Kakwenza Rukirabashaija. Our Kakwenza, who is in exile because he was tortured. He has the scars. He has a bag full of scars being tortured for daring to criticize certain people. Even he is saying, but you guys, we say just some small things and you attack us. What will happen when you come to power? So what I'm trying to say to you is maybe not you, but a significant portion of your base on the internet, especially, are a bit too aggressive. And I feel like this is not helping to bring people on board because you sound very accommodating, very friendly. I wish this was the energy we were seeing amongst your colleagues on social media. I go on social media and I say, man, I'm not sure about NUP. I'll get 100 comments with attacks, insults, threats. You've seen it. Is that the way to go?
You see, the regime has actually won. I want to first remind you that as the national platform, we have core values. I'll keep referring to this. And number one is discipline. And if you happen to interact with several members of the National Unity Platform, you will find them, one, very accommodating, but two, very disciplined. We are one of the most disciplined age group or times that we have had as a country is now because we have a person who is trying to guide us into the right direction. Now, talking about people that maybe attack you on social media, look, people will attack you where need be. These are people that what they only have in their hands at the moment are what? The regime goes ahead, kills their comrades, kills their colleagues. And Fatboy, you don't come out to call out the regime, but rather come out to call out maybe when even your points are not authentic. Maybe you're trying to find a landing point to justify your neutrality. And you're like, no, I need to fight my neutrality. And it's like, this person is like, you want to be neutral in a point where my brother has been killed. So I don't have a problem. I'll say this today and I'll repeat it tomorrow. I don't have a problem with the very many supporters that are aggressive out there. These people have gone through hell. And if they see you, Fatboy, come out in one way or another, seem to be like going against what they do believe in, they feel like you're playing or mocking their pain they have gone through. We have people that have been in prison for 6 years. So if a person sees you mocking his pain, his sacrifice of 6 years to be in prison, you will not expect them not to be aggressive against you. At least I should expect you to understand them. What does the regime do?
Listen, if it's a young kid, a 20-year-old Gen Z, jobless, I can understand if he may have rage. But I'm saying it is the job of the elders to guide that rage. And I'm saying this not because I wish to dismiss their concerns. What I'm trying to tell you is you may like to hear this or not, but it does reflect poorly among more independent people. You see, you have to remember politics is a game of winning the undecideds. You may fill a stadium of people that are diehard supporters, but those aren't the people that are going to decide the election. The elections are often decided by people who are undecided, who you can convince. And as a political party, I do feel it's a requirement for you to find ways of engaging with the undecideds or supporters of the opposing party and not demonize them. Again, I give you the example of the Democratic Party that have been they have recognized that they've been making a mistake in castigating supporters of Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton famously called them a basket of deplorables. And many Democratic strategists believe that to have been a huge blunder. You see, you attack the politicians, but not the voters. See, the voters are your customers. It would be like me, that, because I operate a radio station, it would be like me saying, people who listen to other radio stations are stupid. Like, that won't make them want to listen to me. But it would be fair for me to say, oh, I play better music than that other station. So I can criticize the station, but not their listeners, if I want to win those listeners over. Similarly, no matter how you feel about those who support the system or those you feel are not as sensitive to your issues, attacking them is not politically smart. Do you disagree with this? You feel like as long as I've suffered, as long as I'm upset, I should have the right to rage and attack at anyone who I view as undermining me. Is that the message you want your younger supporters to believe?
NUP is a mass party. It is a party comprised of people of different upbringings. And most of them have, been brought up in the Museveni regime. And trust me, most of the things you see the youths do are a reflection of what exactly the regime has done, what the regime has instilled in them. The regime has instilled such a behavior in them. And I love that we now have a school, the NUP School of Leadership, that is trying to make sure that the different supporters of the National Unity Platform not only dream about a new Uganda, but also understand the new Uganda. But second, you also understand the ideologies of the National Unity Platform, understand the core values of the National Unity Platform. So the party is taking on that role of making sure that, one, we offer support, offer lessons to different Ugandans out there to understand that everyone has a role. Those that do work with us, those that do believe in us, and those that don't believe in us. More or less, like I said, these people only have words. You have never seen them attack anyone physically. But trust me, as we go out there, in our manifesto, we talk about national healing. There are people that really need a national healing. We need to come together as a...
We can start the national healing now. What would be wrong with showing grace now to critics and your detractors online now? Don't abuse them. Don't threaten them. What's wrong with telling guys to not do that now? Why must we wait for you to come to power, whenever that may be, for you guys to cool down online?
But wait, this is the process. And I am a product of the process. Appreciate the process. We're here and we're chatting. And
yes, I respect you so much. You are a very good example of an ideal political voice, I think. You're very respectful, very smart, very intelligent, very clear, easy to understand. We need more of you.
We are actually very many. You have not gotten an opportunity to meet different supporters of the National Unity Platform. We are very many. And if we tell you, Uganda is going to flourish when the National Unity Platform takes over, trust me, imagine minds like me who understand what AI can do, who understand what cryptocurrency is, are given an opportunity to serve. So we are out there and we have very many, the National Unity Platform. It's not just, there is a lot that is happening in behind the scenes. There is a lot that's happening in training different young people in different sectors, such that when we do take office, when we do take power, we have very many knowledgeable Uganda to take over. And trust me, the process is ongoing. The products, you will see many. You will see the Shamim Nambasas, you will see the Dr. Naokwagos, you will see the Margarets from Mokono. Like, the process is ongoing, and little by little, we shall assimilate every good behavior into the others. And trust me, it might not be immediately, but definitely we shall.
What would you say to those who ask why you should even participate? You saw what happened in Tanzania, where the opposition parties just said, "Look, this is rigged. We're not going to be a part of it." And NUP has constantly maintained that the system is rigged against them. They believe that elections are rarely fair, and if so, why would they put themselves forward to compete if they know the system is broken?
But first and foremost, I would ask, what is the option? You're telling us not to participate in elections. What is the option? The people that say we shouldn't participate in elections don't have the option of, you go and do
okay,
this.
because the politically correct and the wise answer to that question is there should be no other option. It should be through democratic means. Okay, most would agree. But if because we hear your candidates say it is rigged, it is not fair, there's irregularities, and in some cases even the courts have pointed this out, then what would be the point of participating? Your colleagues in Tanzania and the opposition there elected to not participate, and President Suluhu was re-elected with more than 90%. So what's the point?
And they didn't participate in the election. You did mention that. So the thing is, one, there is no other option. We use every option we have at hand, not just to go out there and canvass votes. We go out there to actually, one, tell people what is actually happening, expose what is actually happening. You saw what happened in northern Uganda. There is no region we actually went to that had tarmac roads. That was in West Nile. Every region we actually went to had no tarmac roads. It was the feeder roads in those different regions were all muddy. And we use elections as, one, a platform to interface with Ugandans. We use it as a platform to go out there and preach the gospel of a new Uganda to the different Ugandans out there. We use these elections as a reminder of Ugandans of what a right democratic system would be. But at the end of the day, we're also reminded by the fact that dictators fall when you're going into elections, during elections, or after elections. We might not overthrow Museveni yesterday. We might not overthrow him today. We might not overthrow him tomorrow. We shall definitely overthrow him. But look, when you're cutting
democratically,
the Constitution gives us different.
Democratically, right?
The Constitution.
Democratically, please
get me right. I want to answer your question. Like, the Constitution does give us different ways of overthrowing or of taking power, and of course, it gives us a role, and the role is to protect the Constitution. And if there is anybody that is, playing around with the Constitution, we have a role as Ugandans to raise, because Article number 1 gives us the power, as the people, to take back the country as us and make sure we put it on the right stance. So whether democratically or democratically, we shall get our country back.
Whether democratically or what?
Leave that if you didn't get it, Fatboy.
Okay, so because that, I feel like, and this is, to your point, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's one of those things. We are in an African country, and there are limits to how far a conversation can be stretched. Before you could get in trouble. The wrong person might see this and decide to give us a hard time about it because they'll say, "Oh, you said this, you said that." So I hope you can appreciate that. Try my best to clarify on your behalf that you mean that you will seek strictly democratic means to achieve your political ends. And, that's not even lip service. That's probably true. And I think it's something we should aspire for. What do you think?
These are my words. And Fatboy did say this, and I want to be very clear on it. There is nothing I am afraid of. Whatever I say are my words, and I should be the one that should be held accountable. I believe we need to raise as Ugandans and take back our country.
Yeah, democratically. Why you're doing very well, mobilizing, organizing, canvassing, speaking to people. I mean, your ground game is great. You're inspiring. The NUP is inspiring a lot of people. It seems to me, why not just ride out? If you were to simply ride out that momentum, it almost seems inevitable that at some point you'll be in position to either have power or maybe even share power. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel like it's a zero-sum game.
Look, Fatboy, we are riding a non-violent revolution. Trust me, if the National Unity Platform wanted to be violent, there are very many youths out there that our president is telling, don't do this. For example, the security forces that do attack us during our different events don't outnumber us. Do you think if the Honorable Chagranyi woke up in the morning and said, Katimubarumbe, the youths would resist? Do you think? But because we believe in non-violence as the National Unity Platform, we are non-violent in nature. But we also don't have any issue with youths or different Ugandans that think to overthrow the Museveni regime is going to take another route. We have no issue with them. We don't stop them as long as we are moving in the same direction.
That sounds very self-serving and opportunistic. In other words, for as long as your goals are met, you don't mind other people violating the law. They would be violating the law if they chose any other means outside of democratic means to take the reins of power. That would be unconstitutional. It would be against the law. And you're saying you would be happy to have people do that on your behalf so that you can, ascend to the throne after the path has been cleared for you. That sounds very opportunistic and very cynical, in my opinion.
But boy, my goal is non-violence. My stance is non-violence. So nobody's doing. Nobody's doing it on
as you have said.
They're doing it on their behalf. And look, it is my right to protest. So if Ugandans decide that they are going to come out and protest, let them protest. It is which the Constitution grants them that as a right to protest. So I can't be the person again who wants to give them freedom and I'm telling them don't protest. Look, when the National Unity Platform did release its flag bearers,
you didn't say protest. You said you're using bigger words than protest.
What?
Yeah, I feel like you're using these terms interchangeably. You're equivocating. 1 second, hey, whatever it means, if it means that, that's what they shall do. And then now you're saying, oh, but the Constitution says you can't protest. So it feels like you're using these terms interchangeably to signal for something more extreme while paying lip service to the more tame version of it. Do you not see?
I'm calling up Ugandans to raise peacefully and demand their country back. I'm calling upon Ugandans to raise and protest. We are going into a protest vote. It has different stages. If it takes protesting, it is our right as Ugandans to come out and protest.
So what will you do if the elections take place and the result is that the ruling regime continues in power? do you go back to the drawing board? Do you simply double down your efforts and hope for better result next time? Will you reject and contest the results in the courts? Will you give up? What do you see yourself doing as a supporter of NUP?
Supporter is one, I see myself not giving up. Not giving up. First and foremost, understanding that we are fighting a person who has been in power for 49 years and counties. It's going to take us to do a lot of work underground, upground, to uproot him. So whatever results come out of the 2026 elections as a supporter of the National Unity Platform, I'll see it as a win for us. I'm not that old enough. When we were growing up, we used to think politics was for people that actually were old enough, 40s plus. I'm not into my 30s yet. I'm not into my 30s. But we must give it to the NUP that has been in position to inspire young Ugandans me to think about the country we want to live in. That is a win. Then one thing we also want to achieve even before we go into the elections in 2026 is national unity. Museveni has, played the game of divide and rule. He goes to Western Uganda, he tells them, Abaganda tebabagala. When he comes to Busoga, where I live, he tells them different thing. When he goes to Acholi, he tells them different thing. And one thing we are achieving as a National Unity Platform is national unity, bringing all regions together. When Chagulanyi goes to Western Uganda, he will speak in Nyakuri. He will make the Nyakuri speak Lukbara. When he goes to West Nile, he teaches the people of West Nile how to speak in Nyankole. It is these simple gestures that make us feel more interconnected. And whatever the results that come out of the 2026 elections, we must soldier on. Option of giving up. We have no option of giving up. But I'm very confident we are going to win the 2026 elections. We also cut the other part of what if the results come out in our favor. Of course, they will come out in our favor and we are going to win this election. But to win this election and take off, it's going to take Ugandans that do believe in a Uganda that works for everyone. Fatboy, even though you're neutral, the right candidate that actually does represent your position is the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu, and I ask you to vote for him if you actually registered voter. When you go out on the 15th of January to cast your vote, cast it for a new Uganda. Cast it for a Uganda works for all of us. Cast it for the honorable. Talk to your neutral people that we need a new Uganda that, we are 21st, we are in the 21st century. We have 21st century problems. They require 21st century minds and solutions. We can't keep going back to the people 40 years ago that came with an idea 40 years ago to provide solutions to the 21st century. So whatever the results are, we must keep fighting. We must keep fighting as Ugandans. This is a mission. A mission has different phases. Some phases might be successful directly. Some might be successful indirectly. It is the end that justifies the means.
Okay. So what would be your final word of encouragement to the Ugandans, those who would want to consider NUP? I know that they have a manifesto out. It's available on their website, right?
Yeah, sure. Our manifesto is available on our website. That is nup.org.com. You can go out and read the manifesto. What? I don't want to encourage you Ugandans. I want to tell them the reality. I don't want to be the motivation, but I want to tell them the reality. There is nothing like the raise and raise of a dictator. There is nothing like the raise and raise of a regime. It is the raise and fall. If the dictators are not wise enough to know that my time is up, I need to transition, I need to hand over the country to its owners, they always raise and fall. And Museveni is no different from these dictators. They all read from the same book. And definitely, if we keep soldiering on, we are going to build a Uganda that works for everyone. We are going to build that, respects human rights. We are going to build a Uganda whereby when our children go to school, they study things that are related to the contemporary society, not teaching us the Tennessee River valleys that no longer even exist. We are going to build a Uganda by when you go to the hospitals, drugs are there. We are going to build a Uganda whereby people get government jobs on merit. We are going to build a Uganda whereby an MP or a politician that has office is a servant of the people. And during that Uganda, I've said throughout this interview, it's going to take you, me, it's going to take the border raider, that lady that works in the market. It's going to take the school-going children. It's going to take teachers. It's going to take every Ugandan that wants a Uganda that is good to raise onto the occasion and do something. So don't say this is for NUP. It's not about NUP. The mission we are on is bigger than NUP. The struggle we are in is bigger than NUP. In fact, we didn't start it. We didn't start the struggle we are in. We are here laboring and fighting to make sure we end it. We are fighting to make sure corruption does end on us. Because if it doesn't end on us, the nepotism doesn't end on us, if the human rights abuses don't end on us, we are only shifting them over to our children. If I'm not kind, if I'm not tear gassed now to make sure that ends, my children will be tear gassed. So I rather go through the struggles now and my children live in a country they call home, or they feel proud to say, this is home. So as we go into the 2026 elections, my last words to you is go out there and vote for change. Vote for a new Uganda, and that new Uganda is represented by an umbrella. An umbrella brings together people of different ideology, those we agree with, those we don't agree with. Take that umbrella, and we are going in for a protest vote. Kalonde, kaku, anonye, kalonde, kakume, karanje. When you go out there to vote, don't leave the polling station. This is your constitution right. Don't leave the polling station. And if the Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu is declared president in your area, start celebrating. If he's the winner of the area, start celebrating. But if you go out there to vote and you leave the polling station, we shall know you've not voted for the Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, because we know. We are telling those that are going to vote for Bobby Wine after voting, because who is going to protect your vote this time round?
Well, you know that surely internet is going to be off, mobile money is going to be off. Who knows what else they might cut off on that day? So it may be very hard to get sort of real-time information. I think there's going to be a lot more censorship on that day. Now, they will claim it is for the sake of order and security. I mean, that doesn't sound unreasonable, but also it sounds like a bit of a stretch. Nonetheless, it's going to be very hard to know for sure what the results are until they're officially announced. You don't think so?
It's going to be easy to know what the results are this time round, because Ugandans, where Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu is going to win, are going to be celebrating as we come together. We shall find different cities celebrating as we come together, as we come. It will be very easy. The moment you hear, because look what happened in the last elections. Museveni was announced winner. No celebrations whatsoever. Throughout the country, there were no celebrations. So, people say, yeah, no. The Honorable Kyagulanyi said will be starring in very soon. And it's, we talk about the things in a joking manner, but they are going. Fatboy, I dream that one day we shall have a talk when my government is in place. I don't dream to take over any position in government. No. And that is not the reason.
Wow, you should. They should definitely give you a position on the cabinet. I mean, I don't know what you have studied or what papers you have, but you sound to me like a very qualified and eloquent person and a great communicator and a very efficient advocate for the cause of NUP. They would be foolish to not give you something to do on an official basis. They should hire you now.
No, I believe them. There are very many people that do it better than I actually do. They just deserve the opportunity to come out there and speak. And the average of them, if you look at people that are eloquent
Why?
in the national,
Average, then they must be full of heavy hitters. Eh?
I'm telling you, there are people in the national unity platform. When it comes to knowledge, they are sharp, smart in mind, and that is us. That is the Gen Z, and that is the generation that we are actually providing for the country. So
Okay.
when we get power, we want people to get roles wherever in different institutions on merit, not because they supported the national unity platform during
That's the
this.
spirit. I like that. Those are wise words. Now, for me, as I've told you, I'm a neutral. If NUP comes to power, if they take more seats in parliament, if their flag bearer becomes president, me, I'm okay. I won't lose sleep over that. And if they lose, I also won't lose sleep over that. I feel like I'm not so invested in the outcome of the election as obviously you are. And I feel like we comprise a very large group of people in Uganda, and we often get accused of being regime apologists just because we're not like, we're the people that are working, that are providing jobs, paying taxes, being good citizens. I feel like we're just as important in the national conversation as you guys who feel you're on some crusade. I feel like you should not see yourselves as superior to the rest of us.
We actually don't see ourselves as superior to the rest of you, but the truth is, like it or not, we are united by the oppression we are going through. We are united by the human rights abuses that we are going through.
Yeah, I think there will still be oppression. I do think there will be oppression even under the next government, whoever it is. This is Africa. Which country have you not seen where some revolutionary promises change? We saw that in the Arab Spring. Mubarak was toppled. Oh, Mubarak, dictator. They toppled him. Muslim Brotherhood came. They were even more oppressive than Mubarak. Sudan, Omar el-Bashir, dictator. They removed him. Now you have civil war, death. Uganda is full of Sudanese refugees. They were not here during Omar al-Bashir. So regardless of how bad you think things are now, there's very little to inspire us to think it could be better. Like there's no guarantee. It could be the same or it could be worse. This is Africa. There are not very many happy stories this side of the world, I'm sorry to say. So can you understand how we might be cynical and kind of just want to go with the flow and weather the storm?
Because that is what the regime has programmed you people to do. You're into the matrix of the regime. The matrix of the regime lets you people think that way. That better the devil I know than the angel I hear of. But look,
but you can't discount the examples you have seen. I have listed for you several countries here in Africa where change was promised. By the way, this regime you're opposed to, did they not promise change too? Did they not promise to defeat dictatorship and transform Uganda? I mean, I'm old enough to remember those early speeches, okay, in 1986. And yet today you are here telling me this is the worst state the country has been in. So who's to say the people talking sugar and spice today about a brighter tomorrow won't, once they come into power, end up being just as bad or if not worse?
If the NUP takes over power and does the same thing the regime is doing, I'll actually lead the different people that will go against it. I say this. If my president takes over power and he goes against what he does believe in, I'll lead Ugandans to go against him. But look, he's not gonna go against his word. I trust him. I've seen him, hold on to his word. And the National Unity Platform government will give us an opportunity to have peaceful change. This is the reason as why we should have change of government. When we have a leader that comes and handles human rights abuse, another one will handle hospitals, another one will handle farming, another one will handle different sectors. That is the importance of regime change, not having a person who is stuck in one point. So I believe the National Unity Platform, they will grant us an opportunity to see different regimes come and go, see different presidents come and go. It is not about just the National Unity Platform. It is about Ugandans coming together.
Well, I want to thank you very much, Dr. Morgans, for joining me in this very, very interesting conversation. Obviously, there's still so much to discuss, so much to cover, and I hope you'd be willing to join me again in another conversation where we can discuss some more. This has been awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I've enjoyed it, right? I enjoyed. I enjoyed. Well, thinking talking to a very chaotic person. I attended a space one time. You were going raffle with the activists on Twitter, and I'm like, this is the person I'm going for. But I'm like, nevertheless, let's go.
Oh, so you thought you weren't too sure what to expect, huh? I'm a conversationalist. I really just like to hear ideas and perspectives. I'm simple like that. And I know I can come across a bit abrasive and my motives get misunderstood, which I guess is my own fault. I make it easy for people to misunderstand, but I'm really encouraged by this conversation and I hope we can have more in future.
I'll be available. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Morgans. I will catch you on X for more battles. Take care.